Sometimes the most profound, even divine messages can show up in the most ordinary, everyday places. Believe it or not, we're going to talk about finding a sign from God in a head of cabbage.
It sounds a little wild, I know. But seriously, has God ever spoken to you through a cabbage? Now, before you just say, no way, let's look at a story that might just change your mind.
So this comes from Gloria Hez. I want you to just picture this for a second. She's a brand new mom. She is completely exhausted. She has a newborn who is just diagnosed with Down syndrome, and she has 3 other young boys to take care of. All she wants is a comforting bowl of dumpling soup, but she is just too tired to go out and buy the one ingredient she's missing, a cabbage. And then out of nowhere, the doorbell rings. It's a woman she's only met one time, and in her hands is a head of cabbage.
This moment, let's call it a cabbage at the door. It's about so much more than just a timely vegetable delivery. It's really about an unspoken prayer being answered. See, that cabbage wasn't just some happy coincidence. It was a message. While Gloria was struggling, feeling completely unseen, this was a real, tangible sign that she was known. Her unspoken craving, her exhaustion, her heart's deep need for just a little comfort, it was all understood. It's this beautiful reminder that even while we're trying to learn how to recognize God's voice, He already knows us completely.
Now, here's where it gets even more fascinating. The message isn't just in the gift of the cabbage, but in the cabbage itself. Let's dive into something I like to call the cruciferous cross. Okay, so what do things like broccoli, turnips, watercress, cabbage, and even horseradish all have in common? I mean, besides being a little on the bitter side for some of us, they all belong to a very specific and, as it turns out, a surprisingly meaningful family of plants.
And here is the connection. They're all cruciferous vegetables. That name itself actually comes from a Latin root that means cross-bearing. Why? Because at a certain point in their life cycle, their flowers, they form the distinct shape of a cross.
A devotional from Presby Can puts it absolutely perfectly. Just think of it, the cross, evident even in the food we eat. It's this idea that God's nature is made clear through the very things He has made, a sign of faith, literally growing right out of the ground. It's a reminder that even in the bitterness of life, there can be a symbol of redemption.
But the symbolism, it does not stop there. Let's peel back some of the layers of meaning that humanity has attached to the humble cabbage over the centuries.
What you find is this incredible contrast. I mean, on one hand, in dreams, cabbage is almost always a good thing. It symbolizes prosperity, abundance, and even the need for self-care. But then you look at folklore, and things get much darker. Cutting a cabbage could signal a jealous spouse, and if a cabbage went to seed in your garden, it was seen as an omen of death. It's this wild mix of nourishment and warning. And the stories, they get even more wild. There's actually a medieval Jewish tale that claims every tree swore an oath that it would not be used for the crucifixion. The only plant that didn't take that oath? A cabbage stalk. In this legend, Christ was crucified on a cabbage. It's a bizarre, almost unbelievable story, but it just goes to show how deeply this humble plant has been woven into our spiritual imagination. Okay, so if you thought that last story was strange, you might want to buckle up. We're now going to look at the saint's holy cabbage, and this is where things get truly, wonderfully absurd. But first, you got to understand this key concept. In Orthodox Christianity, there's this special category of saint known as a fool of God. Now, these aren't village idiots. They're holy people who intentionally act in unconventional, sometimes ridiculous ways to challenge society and point to a deeper spiritual truth. They literally use absurdity as a tool for enlightenment. So let me introduce you to St. Nicholas of Novgorod, a 14th century fool of God. At the time, his city was split right down the middle by this bitter civil conflict. And this conflict was mirrored in a sort of spiritual rivalry between Nicholas and another holy fool, Theodore, who lived on the other side of the river. So one day, their rivalry just boils over. Nicholas starts chasing Theodore, who, in his haste, miraculously runs right across the surface of the river. And Nicholas, not to be outdone, follows right behind him, also walking on water. But get this. What was his weapon? What was he carrying as he performed this incredible miracle? A hefty head of cabbage. And this gets to the very heart of the whole event. As one writer asks, what could be more ridiculous than smashing your political opponent with a cabbage head? The sheer absurdity of it all, two saints performing a miracle just to have a food fight, it had this sobering effect on the citizens. It exposed the foolishness of their own civil war, and it proved how the ridiculous can be used to teach something truly profound. All right, so let's bring this all back home to your own cabbage patch, so to speak. Think about the journey we just took. We've seen how a simple cabbage can be a surprise delivery that just says, "You are known." We've discovered a cross hidden right there in its flower, and we've uncovered an absurd miracle performed with one. All these incredible layers of meaning, all from one of the most common vegetables on Earth. When you look at all of this, the takeaway is pretty simple. God spoke through a cabbage. So the real question for you is, what hidden messages, what signs of being known and cared for are waiting for you in the things you see every single day? What is your cabbage?